Here's the truth. The bail bond company, they do not have your best interest. They don't. So just a recap of how bail works. If somebody gets arrested and they go to court and the judge gives them a bond, the way you post that bond is by paying bail. You could pay it on your own, which is called a cash bond. And after the case is done, you get that money back. Or you can go to a bail bondman, and typically they make you put 10% of what the bond is. So let's say the judge gave you a $5,000 bond. 10% of that would be $500. You'd have to pay the bail bondman $500, and they'll cover the rest with a surety. And you have to check in with them every time you go to court and things like that. There's a movement happening across the country regarding bail reform. And basically, the movement is saying money bail is unconstitutional. It really only benefits the people who can afford it or who are wealthy. It doesn't really look out for the person who doesn't have any money, supporting their family, doesn't have a lot of resources. They might sit in jail forever and ever and ever, and they'll lose their job, benefits, and a lot of things. And so there's a movement happening across the country, with Houston being, in my opinion, the center of it, where people are going to federal courts and they're saying the way these judges are going about bail is unconstitutional. So give more people bail, let more people out on their own, and give them an opportunity to show up to court. Because that's what bail is really about, you know, a promise to show up to court. But going back to bail bondmen, they do not have your best interests. Every lawyer who practices criminal defense have seen bail bondmen do some shady stuff. Just like the argument people make about good cops, I'm not saying every bail bonds person is like that. But the reality is, it's a business. And they have to secure their interests. And their interest is the money that they put down on you. That's where bounty hunters come from. Bounty hunters typically are hired by bail bonds to chase down people who didn't appear for court and bring them back to court so that the bail bond company can get their money back. Right? They're not trying to lose their money. In today's, like I was talking about with reform happening regarding bail, especially in Houston, it's very typical to see a bail company, because people aren't informed. They don't know there's bail reform happening. They're not in the law. This is not the lane in which they deal with things. So somebody would get arrested on a misdemeanor, who I, as an attorney who practices in this area, know that they're probably going to get a PR bond and get released without having to pay anything. They just have to wait to see the judge. The average citizen doesn't know that. So a bail bondsman will contact them, or they'll get in touch with them. And the bail bond company they know this person most likely to get a PR bond. But they won't tell them that. They won't tell them that. They say, oh, yeah, we'll post your bill. And the reason they're not telling them that, because it's in their interest, because they're trying to run a business. It's like, why would they tell somebody, oh, the judge is probably going to give you a PR bond and lose out on that money, right? So just that truth, just that practice that happens every day, all day, lets you know that they're looking out for themselves, not you. Now, there are situations where I do think it might be better if somebody can afford it to deal with a bail bond than to get a PR bond, right? Because of the type of supervision that you might be on afterwards. But for the most part, that's not the case, okay? For the most part, that's not the case. So just keep in mind, when you're dealing with these bail bonds, most likely any money you pay, they're going to find a way not to get that money back to you, right? Just treat it like a business. It's a business transaction. They're not your friend. They don't have your best interest. I'm telling you, it's a business. Take that approach, and I think you can minimize the frustration in dealing with them. They do have a purpose, right? They do serve a purpose within the criminal justice system. And again, not all of them are shady, but keep it a business, and then it can minimize your frustration.